I remember growing up, remembering that all you really needed to know how to do was to type. And if you hit this certain threshold where you could at least type something up and you had a pretty good resume and maybe a little bit of college, that could get you most jobs. We used to live in a world where you didn't need to have minimum requirements for most jobs. They would train you, and there were lots of people in roles that didn't have college degrees, for instance. That's the world we used to live in, and then something happened. They had this minimum requirement, and you had to have a college degree to do certain things. And I believe that was all just to fill the coffers of the college, because they saw college enrollment going down. And I believe that that's what all this really was about. So nowadays, what do you need to make anything above the minimum wage? You need to know how to write code. You need to be a doctor, a lawyer, or have inherited some money or run a business just to make it out of the minimum wage category. Now, why are we talking about all this? Well, it's the big white elephant in the room. Nobody really has addressed this. What technology has really done to humanity? Has it improved our lifestyle, our way of living? It's made things cool and shiny and flashy, but has it lowered the rates of death? Has it done any of those things? No, because the more efficient they make you, the more is expected. It's not like the efficiency has brought us any more free time. Now, what are the unforeseen effects that nobody's talking about? Well, tiredness. So we are lacking of natural exercise, natural stamina, natural endurance. We've got anxiety, depression. Our family relationships are weakened. Our friendships are weakened. It's all based on social parameters rather than spending free time together. Our world is literally falling apart. Now, another side effect of this technology boom that we've experienced in the last 34 years, I should say now, is an obsolete education. And many of you have experienced this. I have a college degree. I have a Bachelor of Science degree, graphic communication I got from Cal Poly. It's basically a print technology degree. So I learned how to ink a press, load it with paper, and print off publications, assemble master pages with knives and negatives. And then I also learned that same process in a computer program called PageMaker. Now, granted, this was back when these Apple Mac computers were they had these huge monitors that looked like a bubble, and huge mainframe computers that had to do all this stuff. Now you can get the same computing power, fits in the palm of your hand. But when I think about the publishing and how publishing has changed over the years and publishing management, that pretty much makes my Bachelor of Science degree obsolete. In other words, from day one of your college major, the day you sign up for your major, your degree is already depreciated, which means that you might need to supplement that degree with additional higher degrees of education, additional degrees, certifications, even find a job by the time you get out of college. And when you get out of college, you're in competition with everyone else looking to do the same thing. And while your college loans are gaining interest, okay, you're owing more money on your college loans, your education is losing value. How does that work? Why don't they work that depreciation into your student loan debt so that you owe less too? And see how nothing in this world makes sense anymore? It's all about efficiency. And right now, even if I wanted to go back to work in my field, I would be lucky to make minimum wage or $30K a year salary job, slaving away, spending 9 hours a day of my life at that job. And I would probably never go back into that, because now that I know what I know about media, I would just never go back into that field. But my point is that it's okay to acknowledge that you have been left behind. Somebody needs to say that. It's okay to understand that the stress that you experienced as a result of this quote-unquote brave new world that was foisted upon us, that was supposed to make you a better person, actually ended up destroying you or making you sick. We're not all wired the same. Some people can't type. Some people hate looking at a monitor or screen. Some people hate little screens. I know I hate little screens. I can't look at a little screen for too long. The world does not fit into humans. The world wants humans to fit into it. And it's cruel, it's cold, and it's about as far from Jesus' love as you can ever imagine. And it's no wonder that many of us are a wreck. Emotionally, financially, physically, the world has changed, and nobody in the mainstream media really talked about it. We were just supposed to accept it and go for the ride. No one talked about the long-term psychological effects of the technology boom. It was all about technology, not how it would affect us. A lot of metaphors to the current 5G that they're pushing. They just want to push it on us. They don't care about the effect that it's going to have on humanity. Now, I'm going to end today's live show with a story about a friend that I had. And he had an especially hard time with technology. He was a mess. Now, this friend was 10 years older than me. Met him at church. We became fishing buddies. And in his high school experience, he would rely on his charisma. And he was always living in the past. His high school days as a wrestler. He got all the girls, the cool jobs, and the fast cars. He didn't know how to make a cool resume, but he would nail his interviews with this confidence that he gained from being the star athlete in high school, right? He carried that on over. Or he would only go to interviews where he knew who was hiring and he knew he'd get the job. The world was a much smaller place back then. And he always had these big dreams he would talk to me about. And he thought I was smarter than him. And he thought, oh, with my charisma and your smarts, we can make a bunch of money. These were the conversations we had. And he had all these ideas, but he could never follow through on them because rules, bureaucracy, technology always got in the way. It literally became his wall that he couldn't climb. He didn't have the education to advance or the knowledge to carry out his ambitions. Even though some of these endeavors were relatively simple, there were steps required to go through them. And this is the glass ceiling that all of you need to understand. These steps are put in place to maintain control. It's not so much about regulation, it's about control. It's because there's so many steps you have to go through, and by the time you get to the end, either the goal that you'd set before you no longer exists, or you simply run out of money. There's a million things that can happen to you. A home mortgage is a prime example. There's 100 things that can happen to you before you complete paying off a 30-year mortgage. There's divorce, sickness, death. All kinds of things can happen before you pay that mortgage off. But yet, they put you in a 30-year mortgage. Why? Because the bank knows that by the time you sell the house, hopefully you'll be upside down and they can just steal it back from you. That's the truth about the world we live in, guys. So my friend began to see the glass ceilings of technology very clearly. He didn't know quite how to cope with it. He just kept feeling like he was hitting his head against the wall. But he did start to realize the programming, all the programming that he'd been given, that we can be rich just like the rich and famous, or we could have a great business idea that would make us a millionaire, or that we would win the lottery. He realized that all of that was lies to keep you in the game, to keep you in the matrix, to keep you working in slavery so that you can somehow be what they are, the elite. As time went on, he realized that he didn't fit in anymore. He started smoking more, started drinking and gambling more to compensate, because even though he knew what was happening, he didn't quite know what was happening, if that makes any sense. He knew something was wrong, but he didn't really quite know what was wrong. He wasn't awake to the lie. And once you just admit that the lie exists, life becomes much easier because you stop striving for all of this stuff that makes absolutely no difference. And all it's going to do is really make you sick. Right about that point, he started making a bunch of dumb decisions. He'd lie to people about how much money he made, or how his dad was going to leave him all this money. And he would tell these lies to try to compensate for being left behind. And he cared more about what people thought of him because that's where his value was. That's what he grew up on. He was the star player. So his value was in how people perceived him. And when the world left him behind and the perception was that he was a loser, he couldn't handle it. So he started taking unnecessary risks with money, blowing money on people that he didn't even know, trying to impress them, hoping to get an edge up, to get some of that life back that he had in high school. Now, I'm not making excuses for this guy. I'm telling you a very sad story because this is what most Americans experience. And I look back on our friendship and I realized that part of the reason why this guy pretty much lost everything and went insane is because of the changing world that he couldn't keep up with. It was part of the reason that he was destroyed. Now, like I tell you guys, this world isn't for everybody. And hopefully, by you hearing the words of somebody who understands, you won't end up like my friend. You won't destroy yourself through guilt, self-loathing, or miscomprehension about what exactly happening to you in this sick world. You stop hitting your head over and over again about things you can't control. And by understanding all this, maybe we can all be better. Be the change you want to see. I know you guys have heard that many, many times, but it's actually very true. Try not to get upset at people. Live the life that you're trying to show other people how to live. And be strong. And when someone asks you a question, have the answer. That's the only way that this is all going to happen. And don't be afraid to share something. Here's something new. CDC admits, this is just breaking actually. This guy was actually in New Jersey when they won the case to not have or to maintain the religious exemption in New Jersey, and he said that they just won a case against the CDC where the CDC actually admitted that they have no proof that vague scenes do not cause autism. Look at this right here. This is a big win, okay? They're admitting they have no proof that it doesn't cause it. So guess what? This is a win. This is something you can share with people and say, look, they can't even prove that it doesn't. It's all just a show. These people flip in and out of roles like it's no tomorrow. And if that doesn't prove it, I don't know what does. Understand that you're being lied to. The whole thing is to maintain power and to continue to work on the mainframe infrastructure in the cloud of Skynet to finalize total and complete domination and control, social credit systems, drones flying overhead, 24/7 surveillance, and quietly picking off dissidents that have any power or influence. Why do you think they coined this new term called influencers? Because that's coming. They're going to label people like me an influencer. You'll be labeled a public dissident with influencing power that needs to be dealt with by the rule of law. This is where it's all headed, because what we're telling you is true. When we get to that point and you start realizing that, wow, they captured my face, and wow, they can actually superimpose my face onto somebody else's face and accuse me of a crime, which is exactly what happened in this TV series I was watching called Devs, in which this girl and her boyfriend, they work at this tech firm, and long story short, her boyfriend goes to work at this tech firm. They give him a promotion into the secret program called Devs, which stands for development. They cross this barrier, a magnetic barrier, and inside is a giant cube running a software, an artificial intelligence code that predicts the future and can look back in the past based on an algorithm. In other words, this particular code has solved the mathematical equation of reality and allows the people looking at the code to extrapolate backwards into the past and actually pull up real images of events that happen based on the mathematical code, and can also look forward into the future with 100% accuracy. This is probably one of the creepiest series that I've ever seen, and it's only the first 2 episodes. Again, I just told you, the series was about precognition, and it seems like we had precognition. Now, our precognition comes from God. We don't do it on purpose. We just start talking about stuff, and it happens. That comes from God. But the devil has his version of it as well, does he not? So, in that series, the girl, her boyfriend gets this promotion. He tries to steal the technology by taking a picture of it with his watch. Ends up he's a Russian spy. He walks out of the cube and they kill him, and his girlfriend knows something's not right, and she spends all of episode 2 running down leads trying to figure out what happened. She downloads his phone onto her phone. She finds a secret program that ends up being the way that her boyfriend was communicating with the Russians. He was a Russian spy, and that breaks her heart because he didn't tell her he was a Russian spy. But then they show the security of the firm shows her a video of her boyfriend walking out of the facility, then walking back in and lighting himself on fire. And it's him. It's his face. Well, but it's really not him. You see how all this can be used to silently wipe people off the map. They'll say, that's you right there. That's you on the camera. No, it's not. Yes, it is. This software is 100% accurate. This is the danger. 100% complete and total control. But I will tell you that face first is FF, which is 66. Trump's 66th floor penthouse, and under his presidency is when all this is happening. And the people on the right are allowing it because it's the right. Obama or Hillary never could have got this passed. They would have been opposed. People would have came out with their guns. There would have been a revolution. But because it's Trump, they're allowing all this to go down step by step. So that's where we're at. That's the truth, whether you want to believe it or not. One day, all of this is going to come to fruition, and you're going to see it for what it is.